Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. Today's video we are going to look at action potential. So in our previous videos we talked about resting potential, graded potential. So resting potential, the voltage difference for the charge is negative 70. Though some will tell us negative 90, but majority is negative 70. So when the membrane is at rest, the charge is negative 70. So for it to start conducting impulses, they must receive signals. So we say that there can be two ways in which the neuron can be stimulated. Either temporally, in which there is one presynaptic terminal sending repeatedly signals repeatedly, or spatial, whereby we have different, more than one presynaptic terminals, all of them sending signals to one postsynaptic terminal. So when the membrane is at rest, it's not conducting, it's actually at negative 70. So at negative 70, when a signal, when it starts conducting signal, it means there is stimulation. It starts moving that way. So once we have repeated stimulations, the membrane can go, when there is no adequate stimulation, it can go and stand there and come back to negative 70. But where there are enough repeated signals, the membrane goes to negative 55. Now, negative 55, we call this one the threshold. Negative 55 is the threshold. So, when the stimulation continues and the membrane or the voltage difference goes up to negative 55, something happens. There are these channels here. This one we call them sodium gated voltage channels. So when the membrane goes reaches threshold, these channels open up. When these channels open up, more of sodium ions leak in. These are sodium ions, sodium ions, sodium ions, sodium ions. When more of the sodium ions leak in inside the membrane, the charge now, because we have more positive charges coming in the membrane, the charge now goes up to positive 30. Remember, it is because of sodium ions leaking in inside the membrane. So when the charge goes up to positive 30, what happens? There are these channels here. These channels are calcium ions gated channels. So these are calcium ions gated channels. So what happens? They open up. When they open up, more of calcium ions leak in. So we have calcium ions leaking in. So as more calcium ions leak in, what happens? There are vesicles. These vesicles are known as presynaptic vesicles. They have some contents inside them. So when calcium ions leak in, what happens? This now stimulates the vesicles to adhere to the presynaptic membrane. So the vesicles move this side and adhere to the presynaptic membrane. Remember, this is the presynaptic neuron, and this one is the postsynaptic neuron. So the vesicle adhere to the presynaptic membrane. So what happens? Something like that forms. As the vesicles adhere to the presynaptic membrane, it now opens and releases its contents. So what are these contents? The contents is acetylcholine. This is a neurotransmitter. So it releases its contents through the synaptic cleft, this is the synaptic cleft, and then since it transmits signals to the postsynaptic membrane. Let's come again. We have stimulations. The membrane was at rest, which was at negative 70. It received some stimulation, and the charge progressed. Another stimulation, it's progressed again. Another stimulation, progressed. Another stimulation, progressed up to negative 55. This is now the threshold. When it reaches at negative 55, what happens? Sodium gated ion channels open up. When sodium gated ion channels open up, more of the sodium ions leak into the channels, into the membrane. When sodium ions leak into the membrane became more positively charged. So the charges went up to positive 30. Now, at positive 30, when the membrane attained a charge of positive 30, the calcium gated ion channels were stimulated and they opened up. When they opened up, calcium ions leaked into the channels. As calcium ions leaked into the channels, they stimulated the vesicles, the presynaptic vesicles, to go adhere to the presynaptic membrane. When the vesicles adhere to the presynaptic membrane, it opens and releases its contents into the synaptic cleft. One of these contents is acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter. It sends signals to the postsynaptic membrane, and the action potential progresses. When the membrane is at positive 30 again, the message has been transmitted to the postsynaptic membrane. What happens? We have more of potassium gated channels. They open. When the charge goes up positive 30, they open. When they open up, more of potassium channels tend to leak out through the potassium gated channels. When the potassium ions tend to leak out, it decreases the charge of the membrane. So the charge of the membrane now starts to decline. Up to its membrane resting potential. So what happens when more of the potassium ions don't cross, more leakage of potassium ions progresses. So the membrane can go past positive 70, that is up to negative 90. So what do we call this? We call this one hyperpolarization. And at this stage, the neuron cannot be stimulated again. However, the strength of the signal is it can no longer be stimulated. So we call this one absolute refractory period. Since the membrane can no longer be stimulated regardless of the strength of the signal, we call this one absolute refractory period. But at this phase, this stage, the membrane can be stimulated once more. So we call this phase as a relative refractory period, since the membrane of the neuron can be stimulated to start sending another signal. So this one we call it relative refractory period. But when the membrane is at its peak, it cannot be stimulated. We call it absolute. Completely it cannot be stimulated. So it is absolute. We call it absolute refractory period. So what happens to the neurotransmitter? Remember here we have mitochondria, the presynaptic membrane contains mitochondria. We also have acetylcholinesterase enzyme. When the signal has been sent, the contents are recycled, are brought back into vesicles. The cholinesterase enzyme can break down the neurotransmitter and then recycle it back to its vesicles. Thank you guys. Hope we understood action potential. Thank you for listening.